Changing lanes is not only going to change the trajectory of where you're headed, but it has the potential to change your entire journey when you do this. So, what are we talking about? Like, how do we know when to change lanes? So, whether this is life, whether this is business or career, when you're changing lanes, you're making a big decision that is not just going to change the next couple days, couple weeks, year. It could change your whole life and open you up to an incredibly new way of living and just completely change your destiny. So I want to walk through in this video, what does it look like to change lanes? And I'm going to walk you through the process, kind of my framework for why do we change lanes, but also like how do we do it and how do we keep it sustainable so that we're like happy in the lane that we picked and we're really rolling the throttle and feeling super good about that decision that we made. So let's firstly just walk through, like, on your motorcycle when you're changing lanes. Let's walk through the ways that we would do this. Okay. So if I'm riding my bike, two lanes open up ahead of me, I'm gonna change lanes for probably like three, maybe four reasons. The first one is I just want to rubberneck. I just want to slow down and enjoy the view, maybe put my cruise control on and just enjoy the ride. So I'm like, okay, I want to get out of the fast lane. I'm not busting to get anywhere. I have no deadlines. I'm just going to cruise to the side and enjoy the ride. So that's one reason I would do it. The other thing is I would change lanes if I'm getting out of the way of something. So maybe you've ridden before and you see like someone is coming up in your rear view, they're really riding your tail and you don't feel comfortable. You're just like, you know what? If this goes too much longer, I don't trust this thing. I don't want to be ahead of this driver when they make a poor decision. So I'm gonna change lanes and just take a break for a sec, let them go, and then, reassess. So the third reason that I would change lanes is if I am just kind of like uncomfortable at the speed that I'm going, or if I need to do a safety check, or if I need to maybe recheck my GPS, just kind of like look at the buttons, look down at my controls. Maybe I'm, you know, um, just adjusting the controls, putting on my heated grips and stuff. So this is would be like really a speed check or a safety reason that I'm just slowing down to make sure that I feel comfortable and that I'm basically at the right pace to address whatever challenge is I'm going through at the moment. So those are the reasons that I would change lanes. And if you're listening to this or watching this, some of the reasons that you might change lanes is um, you might be thinking about changing careers, changing jobs. So yes, you've been on this one trajectory for your whole life and you just feel like pulling at your heart, at your soul. You're like, I need to change lanes. Like I need to go over in this direction for a change, even though that's not my identity or I've never done that before. You just feel it really, really deep down. So you're changing jobs, changing careers or industries. Maybe you're starting a business and you're changing lanes into that business. Maybe in business, you're actually changing lanes. So this is something that I've done several times. I started as a motorcycle coach and then I kind of changed lanes into a mindset coach. And then I kind of changed lanes back into the motorcycle stuff. Um, and maybe even it's like you're changing lanes into a different social media. It can even be changing lanes, deciding where you want to live. I've moved countries several times throughout my life, changing lanes, going from single to partnered and married to married with family. Like these were all really big shifts that required big decisions in my life. And this is how I really start to figure out and think through these decisions, like, is it the right time for the lane to change? And how I do that first is, when you're riding a motorcycle and you have that intention to change lanes, you're going to look over your shoulder and you're going to check your mirror first, then you're going to look over your shoulder and then you're going to indicate. So that's like quite a process, happens in a second, very quick. But what essentially you're checking to see if the timing is right, you're checking to see if it's safe to do so, and you're checking to see if, like, do you have the space to do so? So, what does this look like in life or career? It can be like, okay, where in my life right now am I at? How are my finances? Is right now a good time to change careers? You might want to look at the economic climate and be like, I don't know, like, am I feeling safe economically? Are things kind of looking all right for me to shift? Check the coast is clear. Maybe talk to some friends, speak to mentors. Really understanding that you are your biggest mentor. So looking inside first and kind of getting quiet, checking the temperature intuitively to say, like, does this feel right for me? Looking for all those positive, like, yes signs. And then once we kind of check that the coast is clear, we're going to signal our intent. Okay, so this is where we're like pressing the indicator. And, so you're giving yourself that leeway, kind of that run up to be like, all right, I'm indicating and now I'm moving. And that's where you are changing the lane, but you're giving yourself a couple of seconds, like, I am changing lanes now. So that might be where you're taking the action to apply for jobs. Maybe you are in a situation of rebranding in your business if you're changing lanes from a business perspective. Maybe you're making some moving inquiries about how to get storage and move if you're moving cities or countries. But that's essentially like that runway where we're executing on, where we're preparing for the change of lanes. And then the final step is really just rolling the throttle and making the change. So this is probably like the easiest part because we've already thought through, we've already had the intent, we've already thought about it, and we are executing on the decision, but we want to follow through. So that's where you're going to roll the throttle, get over into that new lane, making that decision and anchoring it in. So that is where you're going to do it with confidence, okay? So, like, you've made the decision, you've done all of this homework. We're not going to actually take this slow. So, this would be like if you are changing lanes for like a mile, you're doing it at such a small angle that it's going to take you forever. It's actually going to obstruct traffic. It's probably going to be unsafe. And it's just like not satisfying. Like, just make the fucking decision. Pull into the new lane with confidence, anchoring in that this is my fucking lane, this is my decision, and being grounded in it. So, whether again, this is career, business, life, you're like, this is here, this is where I'm at, and I am ride or die in this lane right now, in this moment, not forever, in this moment. And then we turn the indicator off because that's where we've changed lanes. We're not going to flip back and forth. We're not going to say, I wish I was here, I regret it, this, and this. We're going to say, no, I had the intention, I put in the work, I made the decision, and I executed on that, being okay with that, and then, adjusting our speed to be in that space. So that is how we really change lanes from making that decision to like, okay, I need to adjust for any kind of reason, to walking ourselves through and making that shift and feeling safe and secure in that shift. And that is really how we can make decisions in our lives. It's replicable to any context, to any way that you want to apply it. But it's that framework has really helped me think through a lot of things, and I just love making quick lane changes. I feel like the more that I've done it in my life, the more I'm like this, and then I'm like fucking turn, indicate, you know what I mean? So it's funny when I ride with other people who are like slow decision makers, or they'll like indicate and then a couple seconds later get into the lane, and I'm like, boom, made the intention, and now I'm over on this side. It's just funny to think about different styles and how people execute on different decisions. So that is my framework for making decisions, knowing when to change lanes, and then rooting in, grounding into that decision. If you liked this video, this message, check my links below. I have a newsletter and an amazing community where we have motivational conversations like this and we really lift up and support each other. Until next time, keep living your freedom life, and I'll talk to you soon.